Hi, my name is Wayne. Thank you for the opportunity to present provision operations to you as a forum through which you can win trust at great scale through a very small API, ensuring unbreakable streamlined security for digital transactions. Our founders are Alice Dupree, he's our CEO, Jaco Duplessis, Executive Director, Wayne Phillip, that's me, I'm the Master Software Engineer, and Johan Kurtzen, the Lead Software Architect. So, that was our introduction. As I say again, it's provision operations powered by nanoescrow. One of the biggest challenges facing indication interest sites in general and the digital transactional environment at large is trust. And trust should be this foundation of your digital transaction world. Provision operations addresses this by building secure trust networks between trading parties, allowing bilateral, authenticated, frictionless payments. The important word here is bilateral, as you will see further on in this presentation. Secured, accelerated transaction growth can be your future, and this can happen between all your stakeholders. The challenge is very, very simple. E-commerce technology has a technology reliance, and this is skyrocketing. In 2020, according to Statista, $2.9 trillion would be the market in 2020. By 2024, it's viewed to be $4.1 trillion. However, as the world prepares for the economic recovery after COVID, one major thing stands in everybody else's way, right? In every company's way. Fraud is spreading like wildfire. If the potential is real, dishonest people will engage. Let's look at some of the statistics. According to the Nielsen report, $28 billion went through card payment as fraudulent transactions, and these were losses worldwide in 2018. This is projected to rise to $36 billion in 5 years and $41 billion in 10 years. If we don't do something about this, this is going to be the death of online transactions, and that will change the economy of what we're dealing with enormously. According to the Global Fraud Index of 2017, 89% of financial institution executives pointed to usurping of account information as the major problem that has caused losses in the digital channel. We all know what happened to BA a while ago. Their technology stack was of such that it was quite easy to actually usurp and steal client records. And that is something that we in provision operations with nanoescrow are quite capable of dealing with and mitigating. 46% of organizations suffer damage to their reputation. In other words, this is name risk, and this is as a result of a breach. Many of these breaches were supposed breaches, not real breaches, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And that last statistic is the Fraud Insight report on the reputational impact of IT risk. No one is spared from this, right? Consumers are getting burnt left and right. Now, there are a whole bunch of statistics up here. I encourage you to take your time to read through some of these statistics and validate them, all right? The source for these statistics is KPMG. But let's talk a little bit about what the major problem over here is. When you don't protect your client records as part of a two-way transaction, and that's very, very important. E-commerce to date has very much been one-way transactability, as you'll see just now. We encourage our potential clients to seriously consider doing two-way transactions. The way you do two-way transactions and enforce that at a transactional level is through escrow. We have an engine that does nanoescrow. And we really need you to think carefully about this, because we believe it is the future of digital transactions in a secure way. Consumers are looking to you to protect them. So far, the technology has really let you down. So 75% of US businesses want advanced authentication and security measures that have little or no impact on the digital customer experience. The customer just wants to buy stuff. The institution just wants to sell stuff. That's a two-party operation. If you make both parties liable for that transaction through an escrow engine, all of a sudden you will be protecting the transaction against fraudulent transactions that have got nothing to do with you. So if you expose a buyer to a seller and actually encourage the transaction to happen, and the buyer or the seller is corrupt, you will be held responsible even though you are not the responsible party. That's what we call a trust network. Let's carry on. 71% of business side security measures make errors on the side of suspicion, false negatives of trust. With an escrow capability, you negate false negatives of trust because the trust is built into the transaction. The trust is not left to the individuals doing the transaction and their efficacy. The great irony is that the weapon against online fraud is also its source of vulnerability. The existing account setup process requires consumers to provide extensive personal information, answers to secret questions and passwords. Data breaches have exposed this information to fraudsters. Let's just take a side step here before we carry on. If the security of the transaction lies in escrow, you don't need to have all of this information that allows for massive breaches of privacy. And this goes straight down the line of supporting the POPI Act, the protection of private information. Data breaches have exposed this information to fraudsters. So if you have masses of information that's available at the time of securing a transaction as buyer's request, then that information is vulnerable. If you do this in a very, very secure way through escrow type transactions, all of a sudden these data breaches are going to decrease enormously because not so much information is required. Once stolen, this information can be used to facilitate fraudulent activity, giving personal information genuine value in illicit markets. What's a solution, right? I've been pontificating a little bit about it, right? But we'd like to introduce Nano Escrow as a concept to you. Nano Escrow, by its very definition, means it needs to be fully automated. There's no lawyer in between this. You have a trusted relationship between buyer and seller. You can secure transactions. We run an API for you to do that. Each transaction is secured at a transactional level, not at the information of the person level. It's trusted and safe completion. Money can only be repatriated to its source on a failed completion or a detection of fraud by the individual, not by you, the company, or it can reach its destination once successful fulfillment has occurred. This is a streamlined digital experience. The ease of use removes friction from this experience. Before, let's just have a look at before what happened. Transactions were vulnerable. Uncertainty was everywhere. You needed to know a hell of a lot about the buyer in order to give the goods. Value still rested with the seller until such time as the seller was very sure that it had its money. You had payment, one leg, and you had fulfillment, the other leg. Authentication vulnerabilities were enormous. Transit vulnerabilities in securing the payment are legendary. And the seller was never quite sure exactly who the buyer was. We're all aware of these things. Those of us that are digitally smart know that you only go to very, very trusted site. We believe you could become one of those very, very trusted players in this game. So how do we do it? We protect the entire transaction with escrow. It's end-to-end protection, each stage verified and secured. View Nano Escrow orchestration as a method of a firewall between your buyer and seller, but that you have utter trust both ways. First of all, the buyer can see that the money is available and the seller cannot actually spend that money on anything else until it's either been repatriated back to the buyer or hit the seller, and vice versa. There's a guaranteed payment and fulfillment if everything is above board in such a transaction. Who's our team? First of all, Aris de Prier is a highly recognized businessman, specifically in the Southern African market. He's the founder of Employers Organization for Labor Relations. He has an honors degree in law. Arends has a passion for business and believes that high-level architecture development platform of the provision operations team will make a difference in the business opportunities and allows you for expansion and allows companies that partner with us in these scenarios to actually gain large shares, a larger market share than what they have right now. Dr. Jaco du Plessis is a vet by education and has practiced as a vet for many years. He runs a successful set of veterinary practices. He has incorporated his skills into the provision operations team and has a special bent for business analysis, product development, and is very, very aware of the potentials and the ability to ensure client satisfaction. Jaco strives to expand provision operations to reach and automate all consumer experiences in a safe way, building trust relationships. Myself, I'm a recognized innovator, linking businesses to technology. I have a BSc military degree in aeronautics and have spent 25 years in various financial services institutions after leaving the Air Force in 1990 as a major. I work in the IT environment, computational. I'm probably an applied mathematician more than anything else. And I am a co-founder of the technology we call nanoescrow. I was previously with Infinia, where I headed up a very innovative software development team building high-volume transactional environments. And we have a specific interest, I have a specific interest in digitizing in indication of interest environments, or IOI environments, where all you do is introduce the buyer from a seller, but actually don't deal with that transaction itself. Johan Kurtzen, I've personally worked with for 5 years now. He's a very, very serious technologist. He has 14 years experience across nuclear engineering and financial institutions, including companies such as Integrity Engineering, Process Computing, Alan Gray, and Infinia. He's an innovative professional. His expertise covers mission-critical systems, financial services, microservices solutions, asynchronous transactional engines, and artificial intelligence. He's a co-founder together with me, of the technology now called nanoescrow. What are our next steps? We want you to acquire unbreakable, streamlined digital transactions through our platform, build your trust networks between your buyers and sellers in a safe and secure way. Thank you.